Perhaps you're interested in how a man undresses. No, I have a method all my own. If you'll notice, the coat came first, then the tie, then the shirt. After that, the pants should be next. Here's where I'm different. I go for the shoes next. First the right, then the left. After that, it's every man for himself.
Yes, the romance genre. Home to many, well, important and pretty good films, such as, and not limited to, The Princess Bride, Yesterday. I don't blame you if you don't remember Yesterday. It's the one about a guy who wakes up in a world without the Beatles, and so he tries to create, like, the music career of his dream. Anyway, you'll like it. It's those love versus career kind of stories. Norbit, we can't forget about Norbit, and The Twilight Saga. I know, I'm sorry. I had the opportunity and I took it. Me and my lovely compadre, Andrew,
hello,
decided to look at remarriage comedy, which is a subgenre of screwball comedy, which is used in romantic comedy, which is part of the romance genre. Remarriage comedy is essentially as a married couple are divorced and going on separate ways, and after a while, oh no, they miss each other. And then after some shenanigans happen and funny moments, come together and bada bing bada boom, good days are had. Many of these films were made around 1930s and 40s. Not only were they made during the Great Depression, but also during the dreaded Hays Code. And if you had infinite wisdom, which you do, you're the audience, you would think this would be an excuse for directors to have adultery, other characters flirt with other strangers, and the most dreaded of all, sex not with the husband. And you'd be correct. So with that said, we'll be analyzing 4 movies under this category, and we'll each talk about 2 we watched. Andrew will talk about 1937's The Awful Truth, and 1940's The Philadelphia Story. And I'll talk about 1940's It Happened One Night, and finally 1938's Bringing Up Baby. Bringing Up Baby is a story about a stressed-out, bumbling museum paleontologist by the name of David Huxley. This guy's in a whole heap of problems. Well, first, he's about to complete a brontosaurus fossil and he only has 1 bone left. That's pretty important. Next, he wants to be married to a lady named Alice Swallow who doesn't want to marry him for reasons. He also needs to impress a rich lady by the name of Elizabeth Random and try to convince her to donate $1 million to said museum. During a golf game with someone representing said rich lady, our Manny Pixie Dream her young, airheaded, and scatterbrained leading lady by the name of Susan Vance not only steals his golf ball, but then proceeds to steal his car.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm trying to unpark my car.
This is my car.
Oh, good. Then would you mind moving it out of the way?
No, this is my car.
All right, honey. Stay
Oh.
The rest of the film kind of plays out like that. There's an incident that follows a leopard being taken to a farm named Baby. Oh my god, wait, that's the name of the movie! Susan falls in love with David, who she also mistakes as being a zoologist. She tries to keep him in her house. Near the end of the film, some mistakes and some shenanigans happen. David declares his love for Susan. After saying from the falling dinosaur bones, they kiss, they make up, and
that's all, folks.
Now, a big trope / convention that is very prevalent between all of these movies is that dialogue is everything. If you're gonna watch them, or any similar films, be prepared to turn your brain on. Luckily, this film does have its fair share of physical comedy.
You want me to move your car?
Would you mind terribly?
Well, yes, I will, but...
Oh, that'd be awfully kind
well,
of
take
you.
it very easy with that car.
Yes, I'll go slowly.
Then again, it's a lot of talking. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. And for the characters, they're cartoon characters. They all have one kind of personality trait apiece, and most of the writing or situations are really just them having a silly thing happen and have characters together and see how they bounce off each other. Which makes sense for something like romance, since these films live and die for their romantic leads. And well, let's flip our ears to my chummy chum, Mr. Andrew.
The Awful Truth is a 1937 American film directed by Leo McCarey, which stars Cary Grant as the character of Jerry Warner. The film tells the story of how a distrustful rich couple begins divorce proceedings only to interfere with one another's romances. At the beginning of the film, Jerry Warner tells his wife, Lucy, played by Irene Dunne, he is going on vacation to Florida, but instead spends the week at his sports club in New York City and returns home to find out that Lucy spent the night with the company of her music teacher. This eventually results in divorce proceedings in which the judge orders that the divorce will be finalized within 90 days. Throughout most of the film, both Jerry and Lucy get into romances but continuously try to undermine each other's character. At the end of the film, when they both spend the night at Lucy's Aunt Patsy's nearby cabin, Jerry and Lucy slowly admit the awful truth. You see what I did there? Which is that they still love one another and reconcile at midnight, just before their divorce is to be finalized.
You're wrong about things being different because they're not the same. Things are different, except in a different way. You're still the same, only I've been a fool.
Just as Dax had pointed out earlier, this film is mostly driven by the dialogue between the characters. The physical comedy that was prevalent in the previous films is not necessarily present in this film, but instead relies on the banter and actions between the characters for its comedy and also conveys personality traits from each character. The characters are written to come out as more realistic, but still do have their fair share of comedic moments. They both have the primary goal of undermining each other in hopes to win each other over once again, and are thrown in different scenarios, but ultimately it results in them confessing that they still love each other.
Good night.
The Philadelphia Story is a 1940 American film directed by George Cukor, which stars Katharine Hepburn as Tracy Lord. The film is about a woman whose wedding plans are complicated by her ex-husband and a journalist. Tracy was married to Dexter Haven, but ultimately they divorced. 2 years after the divorce, she is about to marry George Kittredge, but a spy magazine publisher named Sidney Kidd is eager to cover the wedding and assigns reporter Mike Connor, hence the title, The Philadelphia Story. I'm really noticing a pattern with these movies. As the wedding gets closer, Tracy finds herself torn between her fiancé George, Dexter, and Mike. The night before the wedding, Tracy gets drunk and kisses Mike, and George assumes the worst when he sees Mike with Tracy's unconscious body.
You don't believe it, then?
Believe what?
Well, the implications of what you saw, let us say.
Well, what else am I to believe?
On wedding day, she realizes that George does not really know who she is as a person, and as the guests arrive, Mike volunteers to marry her, but she declines, and Dexter, who had planned to win her back all along, offers to remarry her, and she accepts. Once again, the film relies mostly on dialogue from the characters, as it is an important trope throughout all of the films listed in this video. Physical comedy is more apparent in this film compared to the last, but the actions of the characters are what make up the motivations. It is apparent in the film that Tracy wants to be with someone who sees herself the way she does, as she expresses frequently throughout the film. Dexter, on the other hand, had planned on winning her back since the beginning of the film, even if not initially apparent. He casually drops subtle hints implying that he is still in love with her, and as a result of the events that ensue, he's there when Tracy needs someone the most, and she realizes that he's the only one that gets her.
It Happened One Night stars Claudette Colbert as Alan Andrews, who is a rich and spoiled baroness who is unknowingly marrying a man who's only in it for the money. Her dad is the only one who notices and is trying to stop it. The dad is neither neglectful or evil. He gets a gold star on the good dads list. Alright, no, never mind. She runs away to try to meet her lover in New York, where she meets Peter Warren, who is a fire newspaper reporter who only decides to help her to get an exclusive on her current situation and get his job back. After events and dialogue-heavy scenes and some comedy.
Keep your eye on that thumb, baby, and see what happens.
Stick up my eye on the thumb.
They start to lose their distaste for each other and start to fall in love. She dumps her previous husband at the altar and marries Peter off screen as it hints at their baby and the end card plays. Well, everything I said in the previous film can be said here, but now I could say that Peter's a big old jerk at the start, even by 30s movie standards. Now both you and I are noticing that I got the marriage movies not based on previously married couples, instead on to-be-wed couples that go off with different husbands. Even so, they're still following that kind of rule of breaking the rule of not being loyal to your husband in any means to justify it. Yeah, there are still some pretty funny screwball scenes. Personal favorite being when Ellen jumps off the boat.
Ellie! Ellie!
Pretty standard for a subgenre film.
So kids, what have we learned today?
Directors, no matter what,
Will find a way to get past censorship and in turn, create a movie where a relationship is ruined in some way
because a woman leaves with another, supposedly better guy.
Because they work so well together, or in better terms, they were made for each other.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.